That's where it happened.
Where do we start with on the Twitter space? Should we start with the conversation?
Come in hot, man. We gave him that little soft core shit.
Yeah, we did. All right, man. I had my first conversation with Rory from the Rory and Maul podcast, and Danny hit me with a little bit of a setup. It's okay. It wasn't that bad.
Explain the context on that though.
So apparently, before I got in there, Rory was saying Joe only invited these niggas up for the show because we were kicking their back end so well.
Do you think before we address Rory and Maul, we should address that thought?
Yeah, we can start there because you had a different perspective that I wanted to hear.
Because it's interesting, and for context of people who haven't heard it, there's a couple theories as to why Menace Material, Homeroom University specifically, is where it is. They can't tell if it's just because we hating on niggas. They can't tell if we're industry plants.
Oh, yeah.
Or if we just a part of a nigga's petty scheme.
We just all that.
Yeah, maybe just, like
all that could be
a mulatto.
Just like gumbo of bullshit.
We just some mutts.
Yeah.
I'm on that train too.
That's because that's what it is realistically. It's everything working together. But it's a lot of people theorizing that we've came to this spot in the game because we were going at Rory. We just happened to be enemies with everybody that Joe Budden was enemies with.
Right, we were Joe
Allegedly.
Budden. So just to fully title this, Rory says that we have been Joe Budden pawns this entire time. That's the only reason why we got the look that we got by going up to New Jersey to doing the episode.
Yeah.
Not only so, but two things kind of came out of this. So Rory said that just flat out. There's no cut on it. It's
and that's what he's supposed to say.
He has to say something.
I mean,
there was no cut on it. It was you were only invited up there because you kicked our back end so well. Danny presented something new that I didn't know. He had said it in one of his videos where
it's incredibly important.
Where Joe was on a space with him and he said, I can make the Menace niggas better than you. And then magically a month or two later, we popped up and we're in New Jersey doing a show with. So I guess
spaces he told Danny to his face that he can make them niggas more lit than you.
Yes.
Then he flew him out. So with that new knowledge intact, it's like, I don't honestly think it's possible. I think it's a combination of everything. It's definitely a combination
I'm
of everything.
100% on the combination of anything.
And I'm cool with all of it.
I'm cool with all three.
Yeah.
I'm so
because the thing
I'm actually happy about all three. That they all happened.
What's important about it from our standpoint is that we did nothing with these intentions. Right. We was never like, yo, let's do this so we can maybe Joe Budden can fly us up. What kind of fucking hoop dream is that?
That's some weird. Yeah.
That's the crazy thing.
That would be a weird.
That would be the crazy thing.
How can we plan for that? Let's just be this nigga's lackey, his caddy. Let's just go after everybody he don't like, and maybe he'll fly us out and put us on. That's a stupid plan.
I think it was Caleb in this space. He said that you have to agree that y'all were going at. It almost made it seem like at one point they were like, "Yeah, y'all go at anybody that Joe went at," and then they started listing like Rory and Maul, Sloth. I said, "Hold on, we acquired."
Maybe that's just a coincidence,
right? What the fuck?
What was going on around that time?
First of all, just to start with. We've covered every urban podcast.
For sure.
There hasn't been one.
If you black and you got a microphone,
we probably talk about you.
Big boy, sway in the morning.
And 9 times out of 10, you're going to cover the ones who are the biggest, who have the most traction.
And the people that you care about the most.
And at the end of the day, it might come down to the person that you care about the most. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. But
nah, it was all a very natural response. And like this nigga said, he was supposed to say that. We've hurt his feelings. Did you end up asking him what we said that actually made him go like, man, I don't particularly like these guys? Because I feel like that's how Rory said it.
He kept
I don't particularly like these individuals.
He probably said it like that, and he kept harping on the point of how we reviewed his album and that whole album rollout.
I thought we did a good job.
That was the ginger sore spot.
It was a sore spot.
That was a ginger sore spot.
It was a sore spot.
Him talking about it on Spaces, I was like, all right, let me do my homework on myself. Let me see what I had to say about this
nigga,
brother.
I was about to say that.
I went back and watched the clip, and I was like, is this nigga serious?
I thought we did a pretty good job. It was very fair.
Hold up. Don't even go into it.
We like it.
Let me tell y'all what I really did. And shout out to Rory, because it's like he had his... There's a couple things that I realized in these moments is that when you initially talk to one of these niggas, you know what? Get your shit off. It's like you're a weirdo. Okay.
They deserve that because
get your shit off.
For so long, we sit here unchallenged.
I've said a lot of shit about you.
You know what I mean?
I said a lot of shit. I don't. Fuck you, weirdo. I ain't no fucking weirdo. Fuck. Come on.
You
Get
know
your
what I
shit
mean?
off, nigga. Same thing with Elliot. It was, hey, look, man, I respect you, but get your shit off. Give me the Kanye rant that you gave me in the club. You know?
Well, honorable.
That's cool.
That's etiquette. That's debate etiquette.
But the way that a lot of the things were framed, see, a lot of the crutch of Rory's thing was, it was we were like moving as Joe Pawns pretty much in his destruction.
It was that, and he gives himself a lot of credit in our blossoming as a podcast.
We're definitely
as
gonna
well.
get to that because that shit.
He
is
gives
fucking
himself
goofy.
a lot of credit in terms of the viewers.
no disrespect, but that whole thing is goofy. There's a couple things that I also realized too is that none of us watch each other's content. Let's all be honest. None of us watch each other's content because I'm gonna tell you what I did, and after I did this, I will not. I'm not doing this anymore. So Rory is the only person so far. Anytime somebody has an issue or anything like with our content or something that we've said, I'll pull the tapes.
Yeah.
Let's hear what the fuck was said. I want to hear it in depth. We've talked about Rory and Maul podcast for just over a year. We're at episode 62. So we have not been on. This podcast has not existed for 2 years. A lot of you niggas, I don't know if the back kicks in.
It feels like it.
It feels like we've been around for a long time. This is 62 episodes. 66, sorry. Just over a year.
He losing count.
Yeah, so it's like, I watched every clip we made about Rory and Maul.
Mm-hmm.
I watched all of them.
And what was your synopsis?
And how
What
bad did you feel
extrapolate?
of yourself after that? Like, when did you go like, why did I do this?
I didn't have that moment
Because-
one time. This is
Because
what
you
I,
understand
this
that
is what I wanted to,
this is deadly.
I know,
If-
but this is what I wanted to say to y'all. Number one, I'm proud of y'all niggas.
Thank you.
I had an amazing time.
What happened?
Bro, the content was great.
Okay.
It was great, bro. I went through. And
I'll dab him for you.
Yeah, please
Okay.
do it for me because it's a lot. It's a little
Siphon
bit,
it. Yeah.
it's a little bit more
I'll take
distance
it.
with the new set, respectfully.
Yeah, nah, we 6 feet away, nigga. This shit up to pair. No
Niggas is in here social distancing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But nigga, I watch every clip. No, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
I refuse to do this again. I watched every single clip just because it was just like the way he was saying it. I'm like, damn, did we violate this nigga like that?
No.
Because I know it probably could have happened.
Every clip
But I
was
don't.
balanced. There were so
we
many.
don't hate Rory and Maul.
When
We
I
don't
listen to-
hate nobody.
We
bro.
don't hate-
He
Bruh.
hates people. You hate certain people.
For sure.
But other than that,
You
Right.
know,
and Rory's not one of them.
Rory's far from him.
There's a couple people who can be like, AJ just purely just hates my essence as a person.
Right.
And you're correct, young man.
yeah.
And I also
he
wanted
does.
to make sure I stressed the point. Now, from his perspective, I could see it being weird. And then I listened to it. That's why I ended up going. Let me just tell you what the perspective is.
Okay.
In his mind, he said, we've been kicking his back in for 2 years, even though we haven't been around for 2 years, but we've been kicking his back in for 2 years. Then all of a sudden, he does one episode with Danny, and now he's the best podcaster in the world. So I listened to the beginning, I listened to everything up to that moment, and then there's maybe 2 to 3 clips post that moment. The praise that he was getting on that clip in particular does completely outshine every other thing that's happened before, right? Every other clip from before. So I can see where.
So his gold outweighed his shit? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so what I'm saying,
highlight was more important.
What I'm saying is, when I watched every single clip, there were always compliments sprinkled throughout the critique or the observation that we had. There was moments where the jokes lasted a little bit longer, but it was balanced as fuck. Every single clip, every
Yeah.
single clip was very balanced. The only clip that that tipped the scale was when I probably just had a bad day that day. The most hating Rory and Maul podcast. There was no.
Come on. We titled it that.
Come on. No scale was. It was that shit was off, nigga.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the one that's the most off.
But that's because you was projecting.
Yeah, I don't know about projecting, but because
You had a bad day.
for sure.
You know what I mean? Let me
So I
get
just
this
feel like
shit
giving it
off
up
me.
to
Yeah.
other niggas. You know what I'm
Little
saying?
ginger nigga.
But
Bad
when I got up
energy.
to that one, so I can see where in some of these were much lighter. Some of them were really balanced, 50-50. Some of them were 40-60.
Yeah.
Some of them were 70-30. You know, it was never hate from start to finish ever in any of the clips.
And it's
That-
probably never hate from all three of us. Which is another
That's
thing.
another great point.
That gets
'Cause there was-
misconstrued because like they like to just lump one like thought that was said on this podcast to everybody to make it seem like you could be disagreeing with something that he's giving credit to Rory for.
Oh no, that happens pretty quick.
It's happened a couple
times.
times.
That happens all the time.
But what we'll get credit for is what you said.
The worst
you know
part
what I mean? It's
the worst
just
part.
it's slow hanging fruit, and I get it. You know, it's human nature.
And I can understand.
You're more along to that.
It
hurts worse.
I'm gonna remember that shit. I'm gonna remember that before you said, "Yo, this set is fucking nice," like or whatever. Like you killed this shit. Like And then I also, as I was watching the video, even though I can understand the drastic change because that video was so complimentary, and I feel like it was pretty much on my side heavy on the complimentary side. And that's because the subject matter when he was talking to Danny is literally my favorite subject matter. It's the business of podcasting. And the nigga was transparent the entire thing. So
God, you start smelling money when we start talking about pod business. Nigga.
What?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
God, look at him.
You're salivating, nigga. Clean up.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh shit!
Almost got active, nigga.
Oh my God!
Dusting these
Not
bitches
on these
off.
new hardwoods,
Yeah,
man.
I was about to
nigga.
say,
Give them time to break in.
Yeah, so it's like
Footmark.
like, you know, yeah, that's my shit. That's my shit. Like I ran to the back. Like I've been watching Bag Fuel this week because Manny was up there talking podcast business and Joe was up there talking podcast business. For me personally, that's my interest because there's a goal, an overarching goal that niggas are trying to
And
hit.
there's a common denominator.
And there's a common denominator. I need the most information as possible because that's one of the things to where a lot of people say like, I've been giving game all the time. I've listened to all of it, and I'm telling you, the information is more scarce than I think people realize. I think a lot of podcasters that are already successful and things of that nature, they move with the thing. Let me give you this surface level shit, and nigga, you see how I'm living, nigga. You know, obviously it's good. It's like, no. That's for me personally.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work, nigga. I'm on level 3 and 4. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even.
You
want
to be taught how to fish.
Come on, bro.
Not just trying to eat.
And it's not even taught how to fish. It's the different ways to fish.
Right.
So
Well, you got to be taught one way to figure out like
I taught myself how to fish, but now I'm learning from everybody that we're interacting with the different ways of fishing.
There's more efficient. There's always a more efficient way of doing whatever you think you're doing.
I learned how to catch fish in a pond. Now I need to learn how to catch them in the sea. Then I'm gonna need to learn how to fly fish.
How to catch them with a big ass rope.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
There's levels to everything.
And to your point, it is difficult to get that information because it's a lot of these top podcast niggas. They want to keep up that curtain or that veil of like, man, this is $1 billion business. Like, we getting paid millions per episode and shit.
And on some real
they
shit.
just want to uphold the surface level highlights of it. So it's like nobody's getting the real truth. That's why niggas be.
And on some real shit,
expectations
it's boring content. Like, let's keep it real. If you're not invested in it, the average consumer, the one who's here for enjoyment, does not want to hear the intricacies of this business. Yeah. They're nigga, I'm not about to start a fucking podcast business.
I don't care about ads.
I care if you tell me Joe Budden fucked over your contract. Now I want to hear how these businesses work and things of that nature. You know, now as an average person, that's an engaging conversation. But for the everyday person, no, I don't want to hear that. Yeah. But you go into Danny's digging into that. I love Danny content. It's just this is a match made in heaven right here in terms of content wise. But just objectively listening, after listening to everything, I can see where it's like, if all your memories are fuck these niggas, you know what I'm saying?
I went to
and then
your
all
homie.
Of a sudden I go to your homie.
Yeah.
And this nigga, I'm the shit all of a sudden. But then the very next week, I think it's so balanced. I was proud of how balanced our catalog was on the Rory Mall podcast. Outside of like 1 or 2.
And when are
moments.
people like in our field gonna like? Why I feel like everybody gets, a little cranky about what we say. Like you would think people in our field will understand that, like, all right, I do the same thing. There's gonna be somebody else that does the same thing to me. Like it's almost like you live by the gun, you die by it.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
It's not that simple because they're not thinking of it from that perspective. Like what we're doing is kind of annoying. Like honestly, like if you're being genuine and you was just out there living your life, doing your thing, and somebody arose just to critique what you do.
Step on your shit.
You know what I mean? Like that's some annoying shit. There's no campaign going against you yet. So it's like it's a different feeling. I understand why niggas can get irritated.
We've had short-term campaigns run against us. We haven't dealt with any real long-term campaigns that other podcasters have dealt with so far.
The thing that bothers me about it is that they like to pick and choose what we're saying. You know what I mean?
But that's the crazy part.
They're choosing to go to the most
salacious.
Not even salacious. It's like
not. But this is the thing.
they're picking the worst of the worst.
Yeah,
or how to
fucking
listen
salacious.
to it.
That's a good word.
Yeah. Especially because I'd listen to every clip. I listen to every clip.
But
they were so balanced.
And then if somebody says like, I don't like how you were talking to me, immediately you're thinking about everything that you said, even like the feeling in the gut
I don't
of
even remember
what.
half the shit.
You know what I mean?
Literally,
I don't remember any hate from nobody in this room for
Bro,
fucking
I
Rory.
remember, nigga, I listen.
You listen to everything.
And this is the thing, too. It's like, I realized on this call, AJ called a crazy out. Whatever. Y'all can call it that.
that's what they say?
That's what I think. That's a
consensus.
I think that's a general consensus for sure. Is that I called a crazy
Where
out.
was
General,
Marge?
I don't even what the fuck general consensus.
I think
nigga,
I don't
what
know.
that
Y'all
mean?
drop it in the comments. But when I go back and listen to it, I was like, there was a point in this spaces when I said, bro, we don't watch each other's content. That was one of the things that I realized too. It's like Rory had an issue with us having such strong opinions and not knowing a fucking thing, which all of y'all have. I've noticed all of y'all have said that. Duh, we don't know a fucking thing. We didn't sign the dotted line, nigga.
Yeah.
We didn't. We never said we didn't sign the dotted line. We weren't in the meeting.
We'd be weird if we knew everything.
Exactly.
Then he'd be right.
Bro,
Then he'll be calling us.
Of course, there's certain facts that are going to be wrong. That's obvious.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can build a relationship with a nigga. If something comes up, you can call him. Me and Rory exchanged numbers. If something comes up about him, I'm keeping the same energy because I was proud of with the catalog that I saw. I'm not. That is going to be the exact same. I will go back and forth from fucking with what you've done this week to not fucking with what you've done because
It's not going to change because you got his number.
Hell no. The only thing that'll change is before I run a story, if it's something that possibly I want to get more details on it, if you want to give it up, I might call and ask or text and that. I'm not even gonna call a nigga. I'm gonna just text and be like, yo, you want to give me a little bit of background on this before we talk about it? That's pretty much essentially that's the grace that like I'll reach out to Charlamagne and be like, look, I got questions about this shit. Nigga. I'll tell Charlamagne straight because I've kicked. It's another thing. Rory just saying that he had something to do with our come up. Nigga,
that's disrespectful. Because it's really it's another way of saying the white man has yet again found his way to swoop his hands into a black
enterprise
business, nigga, black enterprise, nigga.
That shit is just so fascinating that he said that because, brother, the Bring Idiots and Charlamagne the God connection, like the amount of clips that nigga has,
it was
coming up off. If we want to talk about coming up off hating on someone, Charlamagne's the only one who can say that. Like in terms of like getting his back kicked in the most consistent.
And us reaping the benefits.
Yes. For sure. But
harsh judgment for sure.
I was frontlining it for quite a while though. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah. So it's like that's the only thing. There was definitely nice spikes kicking a Rory and Maul podcast back in. But the one that was consistent, it's like, come on, bro.
First of all, this podcast got a lot of notoriety off alleged domestic abuse.
Yeah, man, we put an APB out on a nigga and it went up. Yeah. That's really what it came down.
We put an Amber Alert.
We put an Amber Alert
out. We put the
out.
spotlight on.
That's all it was, bro. Now there's moments of trajectory, but no disrespect, the Rory and Maul podcast had nothing to do with any upward trajectory of our show. Yeah. Because there's two different types of views as well too, and I feel like Rory knows this too, and I feel like a lot of content creators know this. Is that you good?
No, just stay focused.
Oh yeah, but it's like you can get a lot of views kicking somebody's back in, right? But if you're not speaking any sort of truth, it might be 8,000 views and 38 comments, right? But another video get 8,000 views and 200 comments, right? You know, there's a certain the Rory and Maul ones. They weren't really that favorable. The views might have been spiked, but niggas are like, what the fuck y'all talking? Y'all don't fuck with them. Y'all don't, it's like, it's not like they were like, we don't have a Rory and Maul fan base that come here because we don't cover y'all every single week. We cover y'all roughly once a month.
And a lot of people have to love the Rory and Maul podcast.
Nobody,
you know what I'm saying?
And no disrespect, but nobody here loves the podcast. You know what I'm saying?
And it's really that simple.
And then that's just what it comes down to.
True.
We can only take in so much.
And the show is based off mainly, but it's just like so interesting kind of hearing some people rationalize it to where it's like, but you don't even watch it, so you don't know. Nigga, if the argument, like, let's use the example from the clip, Maul is dead weight to the Rory and Maul podcast, right? That was the one where he had an issue with what Danny said about him during the Rory interview. Y'all remember that? And he was like, I never asked a man to do an interview with him. Remember that shit?
Yeah. He started sounding like this nigga.
Right. I don't have to watch the 2-hour podcast for that 17-minute section to be dissected. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because our analysis of any podcast conversation, it doesn't start with the 10, 15-minute bit, and then we tell y'all why that bit affected the 2-hour podcast.
Yeah, no, we get straight to it.
It's about that.
It's about that moment. You know what I mean?
It's about
so
the
it's
moment.
like
That moment speaks to something.
And unfortunately, us not loving them, we don't really have like a horse in the race of getting the context to everything.
the part that fucks us up in not watching full episodes and really becoming fans
On all
is-
podcasts.
On all podcasts.
Because
is-
it's something that we
is-
do.
And there's something that we do. We don't know the dynamic. So something will happen on the Brilliant Idiots. We've all watched that for so long. We can be like, man, Charlemagne moves like this. Schultz probably feels like that. You know, like we can get a general gauge just because we've seen once a week for over 10 years how they interact with each other, how they joke with each other.
Yeah.
We might come in, hear Julian say an offensive joke and be like, yo, who the fuck is this? Like, this nigga's out of control. That's a incorrect judgment because if you're a regular fan of the show, you're like, that's who he is. You know, like, what are y'all talking about now? You know?
Yeah.
That's the only time. But the overall context of whatever that argument, whoever that piece is, that holds. You don't have to know the person 100% to, or know the content or the people in the podcast to have an accurate
And then it's
assessment.
one of those
But-
things where it's like, this isn't gonna stop at Rory. Like Big
no,
Sloth has
everybody
already
does.
said, man, y'all trying to get 1 million views off my name, and he paying for his.
First
you
of all,
get what I mean?
with what we do, that is always going to be the easiest move to try to get us with. It's like, you got this far based off my name.
Yeah.
And it's just simply not true. It's a lot of niggas talking.
You got it though.
It's not a lot of niggas doing it like how we doing it.
Yeah.
If,
I'm not about to go back and forth with it. Like over
Yeah,
some
literally.
goofy shit. Like, you know, it's just like you
I
got
just don't like the fact
You
that
got
niggas
it,
try
bro.
to discredit the work that we put in.
Yeah, that's another thing. I love
Because
how like
when-
everybody
when-
goes on these rants and then they say they are talented though. It's
When you have a
truthfully-
podcast, when
That
you
shit
have
is funny to me.
when you have a podcast that is about other podcasts, it's easy to think that like that's just the easy connection to make. But we are talented at what we're
but
doing.
the way that this,
they
the-
I don't
know
even
that.
like having to say that shit.
Yeah.
But I
Don't say
feel like
it. It
niggas,
doesn't matter, 'cause they know
niggas
it.
need to start giving us our credit. Because Rory,
Yeah.
I don't have to talk about you for another 5 weeks. We're gonna be okay.
it's pretty easy to not talk about them and be
Yeah.
okay.
We are gonna be
it's
perfectly
pretty,
fine.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's a
much.
couple
the,
niggas
the
that we-
funny thing is,
We can do that with a lot of shows, honestly. Obviously, we can't do it about all the shows because it's about other podcasts, but y'all know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's not one, our channel identity is not linked to one fucking show, and I'd be damned. Saying it's a Rory Moore podcast is the most ridiculous shit.
Yeah. It's kinda disgusting.
It's the only two people who can have it is No Jumper, Brilliant Idiots. Those are the only two
Yeah.
That's it.
Who have the right to say.
who have the right to say some sort of, you wouldn't have a channel if it wasn't for me.
but here's the thing is,
Something along them lines. Y'all know,
And
y'all,
even
you get
then,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
the way that this content is made is so like you said, so balanced that even if you were amazing fans of the show, it wouldn't really change how it's received because it's just about a lot of these people not being able to receive honest criticism,
Yeah.
an honest like debate about what the fuck is going on in their show. They're
It
gonna
is
turn
that-
it. They're gonna turn it into hate no matter what. A
Is
lot
that
of the times.
is that, and we also got to do our part in what we playing this, because it's a lot of times where like we'll kind of loosely say that we hate on niggas, joking.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true,
it's
that's
like
true,
no, that's true.
But
That's true.
that kind of solidifies the brand in a lot of
Brand,
people's
yeah.
It does.
ideas.
That's
It's just
true.
like it makes it
Yeah.
seem like,
Good
oh,
point.
them the niggas that all the way in North Carolina, they just be
Just-
popping shit on these beautifully assembled couches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole fact.
This motherfucker, yeah.
Yeah, that is no. That's a great point though. Honestly,
So we
Yeah,
also
yeah,
got to
yeah.
take
gotta be-
accountability on that, because even it was a couple moments in the spaces where I get what's happening,
Right.
but you was like, yeah, you know, we be hating on y'all niggas.
Yeah, it's like,
But it's not
because
true.
you're just doubling down. We understand.
Yeah,
we
'cause
understand.
I really got.
We
to a point-
understand, but words are important.
Words are important.
We're in the business of language
Yeah,
arts.
no, that's
get
a
what I
fact.
mean?
It's a fact.
If we use the wrong word,
I
the
be
trees
held-
might be the wrong color
I'll
on
be
the
held
portrait.
accountable for my words too. But it's like, yeah, but you know when I stopped giving a fuck is when I realized we don't watch each other's content. See, there's another thing. I'm fucking honest when I say I didn't watch that fucking shit. I'm
Yeah.
honest. I'm honest. when a nigga is approaching you, they'll say, I watch all your shit. Rory asked me, when you went up to Joe's, wasn't it just to hate on niggas? And if that's all you think we do, then you think that we only up there to hate on niggas. I said it was an award show. I said every award had a positive and a negative.
Yeah.
That was that's the most balanced show we've
It
actually.
don't get more
It's
than that.
actually the most balanced show we've ever done. But the fact that you asked me that and it was like, oh, okay. No, I'm asking. And I was like, but you're just coming off of I watch everything. But you're like, so what was the point of the show? It's like, what the fuck? Did you watch the show?
He didn't watch the show.
None of us watched the show. We
He
all
just
watched
knew.
the clips. We all watched the clips.
And sometimes that's enough. But
a lot of the time, that's enough.
but from Roy's perspective, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, from his
It makes
perspective,
perfect sense. And he might not be wrong. Regardless,
Whole time Maul is asleep during this. You know it.
Maul is too much of a real
Maul
nigga
is
to care.
asleep. Droopy nigga.
Look at this square activity.
But that's the thing. Like I mean, just like you, it's like what can we say?
There's nothing we can say. But speaking of watching watching all of everybody's shit, shout out to all of these people that was in these spaces. Because I'm not gonna lie, before you got there, they was defending the fuck out of us.
They
It
were.
was one nigga in there. I forgot your name. Shout out to you, brother. He knew.
Probably Caleb.
He knew everything.
Yeah,
like
it's
he knew
Caleb out
shit.
there.
He was teaching me about myself. I was like,
Yeah.
when did we do that? All right, bet.
Yeah, it's probably Caleb.
They
Very
was defending
interesting.
us better than AJ. AJ got in and he was like,
Yeah.
Roy,
Out of breath and shit.
Bro, that's the thing. It's like, yo, bro.
Because did you just like go into the crib and was like, oh shit, like
Nigga, this is what happened.
AJ didn't even
First-
light his cigarette yet.
Nigga,
He wasn't ready.
Nigga, what the fuck, bro? First of all, we're coming off the 12-hour days of the 10-hour day of laying a floor.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
was a migrant the whole problem.
So the whole day we laid floor. I go in the house, I take a shot. Mind you, my nephew and my pops was here.
Yeah.
Then we all go out to dinner. I'm already beat from the day. Then I get a text from Danny, and he's like, we're coming like back from dinner, and he's like, yo, Rory in here talking about you. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm in a conversation, I'm in a good convo with my dad. I'm like,
got your nephew in the back.
I'm like, I got my nephew in the back. I'm like, hold up, dad. These niggas is talking about me. I need to figure out what the fuck going on.
Yeah.
I didn't even get a good time. It's so much going on. I said,
First of all, you gotta explain who this guy is.
it's just so much going on.
Why he's important.
It's so much going on. I was like, you know what? That's one thing I'll never do. I'm not interrupting my life for no goddamn space ever.
Yeah,
again.
Especially for
And-
ginger haired nigga.
We need to be there next time. We need to be on one of these spaces talking because
It would have been hilarious. It would have been hilarious.
it would have been funny.
It would have been funny.
Bare minimum.
Because I feel like I would have accidentally hurt Rory's feelings though. Like I feel like we can do
Would you
that.
apologize?
I don't think so.
Are you man enough to apologize to a
For
ginger?
Rory, yes, but
It's funny because he
Ginger
did.
hair.
Because
nigga.
Rory isn't really an enemy.
Rory isn't.
Rory's never
he's
been
not
an
at all,
enemy.
actually, yeah.
I don't like the sentiment that just spread.
Everything I've thought that like, okay, maybe we've hated on Rory. It's just been the little things he's done that even he can probably go,
Well,
that.
that's honestly the best part.
Because-
Is like a lot of the moments that we like critiqued. I
It's-
feel like I heard him talk about it, and we said it was corny, and he said, "Yo, that shit was corny." And I'm like, nigga, we
like,
all-
how can you
we're
not?
always on the same
how do
page?
you-
It seems like. You
how
know
do you
what I'm saying?
not
Like,
expect us to talk about like, you know, I don't remember him like being sad on Rory Amal, but I'm pretty sure he has been.
He's definitely
where he has
sad.
that Rory face, that just
You know, he can-
melancholy face.
What's the thing from Winnie the Pooh? The donkey, the depressed donkey.
Oh, I
Donkey.
can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Oh, it is just
Donkey.
donkey.
Just
Just donkey.
Depressed donkey.
See, he's so
Oh,
fucking sad.
no, I know what you're talking about. I
Yeah,
forgot
he's
his name.
all like
Now you think about Shrek.
Eeyore.
Eeyore, that nigga.
Eeyore.
Eeyore,
Yeah. Sometimes you
the
know Rory,
immigrant knew American culture.
he had to study it to fit in.
Yeah.
That
But
shit was probably made in like Europe or some shit. I feel like see where Winnie the Pooh was created. I feel like something tells me
I think it
wasn't
is from the
America.
UK, like
I
The
feel like
Office.
it's some UK shit.
but sometimes when you come with that Eeyore energy, that's just joke batter. A lot of times it's like when you're overly
And then-
emotional on podcasts, that is the most deadliest ammunition you can put out there.
And then I don't like when people just blindly don't like me. Like during the
It's
whole
not blind.
Well,
Don't
Canada.
lose sight of this.
well,
I knew it
not
wasn't America.
blind, but it's not like pinpointed. Like you can't say exactly why I make your stomach hurt, nigga. You know what I mean? Like
He did.
He did. But did he really though?
No, not really.
That's what I'm saying. Like even when during the whole T-Rail and Heather shit, I had niggas DMing me. I had to tell a nigga, I'm like, look, I will fight you. But let's be reasonable though. You get what I mean? Let's be reasonable though. Like if you see me in person, you try that shit, it's gonna happen. But let's be reasonable.
Like
and
that,
then once you break it down, it's like, man, you actually a cool dude. You know what I mean? I'm gonna come to North Carolina to give you some of my hoes and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what he said.
Paul.
But overall, though, thought it was a decent space. Whatever, it was cool.
Where does Danny fit in all this? Because it's interesting. Like I've been noticing, this nigga has just been causing chaos. I know for a fact,
the
Danny is
facilitator.
laid up in his fucking crib with a soft little snuggie or something. Just diabolical.
Yeah.
I had something to say about that.
Yeah, nah. Danny is an evil villain, and I think I've been looking around. I feel like Joe's about to just hit the red button on this nigga.
On Danny, the red button's been hit, nigga. It's up for them too.
Think so?
I know so. It's happening already.
It's happening right now.
Yeah, it's active.
He said, and it's crazy to see the evolution of the creation. You know what I mean?
Speaking of that, let's
Was
go.
this not predictable?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's go over to that. Let's go over to that real quick. This is the 20v1.